Scrolling through social media might seem harmless, but what if it's silently shaping the mental health of an entire generation? Teens spend an average of 3 to 5 hours a day on social media, which was taken by Pew Research Center. And I think if we really think about it, that's a long time. Especially when you think that most of the time teens go to school, some of them have jobs, and they have to do that for at least 8 hours a day of schooling and maybe 2 or 3 hours of a job afterwards or extracurricular activities. And then to think that during all this time they spend 3 to 5 hours a day on social media. That's a huge amount. And studies show their level of use increases risk of depression, anxiety, and poor sleep by JAMA Psychiatry. And I know for myself personally, sometimes you just go on the phone at night. You're like, oh, not that tired, but I gotta go to bed soon. Let me just scroll for a little bit. It turns into 2, 3 hours, and then you don't get the sleep you need. And not having sleep doesn't prepare you for the next day, and it just messes you up further and further. And the issues isn't just about the teens. It's about the kind of culture and community we're all building. Because everything starts from the bottom. In order to grow a nice, healthy society, you need to make sure that the foundation, the thing that's going to be grown to the top, is firm. And currently, the teens aren't in a good foundation to go up because mentally they're just depressed and they're so anxious because partly because of social media. And to understand why this matters, we first need to look at the scope of why this is a problem. And the excessive social media is damaging teens' mental health. And I think that there's so many different times throughout society that we just see how kids are affected. Teens who spend over 3 hours a day online are twice as likely to experience depressive symptoms, which was also by JAMA Psychiatry. And I think looking at that, you might think, oh, maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't, maybe there's other factors. But the fact that we see the things online and we see these things and we care so much about how online is, and then we feel like, oh, I hate how I'm always online, maybe, and then that makes you depressed. Oh, I hate how this person online is better than me in this. That can make someone depressed. And then it's not just depression. There's poor sleep, cyberbullying, and then as I already said though, the comparison of other attributes make people feel way worse. And it doesn't just affect how they interact with their families, because that also affects how they interact with their families, because we're not talking to our families, we're mainly on social media, and sometimes the parents are also just on social media. And so then there's no bonding, there's no communication, and communication is how we learn to have actual real life skills. And since we're not doing that as a family, it impacts us. And then we're not doing it at schools and in our communities, and that will mess us up for our future workplaces. And then now we don't even know what we're doing with our life. And then we're just confused because all we think about is what's on the screen, and not everyone can be a social media influencer. And so, another reason why it's such a thing is because we have to take steps to reduce the satisfaction you get from social media. So, we need to encourage healthier tech habits, and awareness can make a difference. Schools and parents need to make sure that they understand what their kids are watching and why their kids are watching it in order to help them not watch it as much or not to be completely engrossed in scrolling and different things like that, to help teach balance and to have a nice mindfulness of their life. And tech companies should, but they don't, they should implement stronger mental health safeguards like screen time reminders. And they need to maybe not just have reminders, but things maybe to force them off of things. And there's some things with parental controls, but they might need to have better things for people who want to self-regulate, but they know that if they try, they don't have the self-control. And a lot of times you gotta get extra apps and do all this stuff, and those extra apps want you paying money and everything. And I think it should be more free for that to happen. And as individuals, I think we can model a better online behavior, and then that way we can support and protect our youth, because as I said before, our youth are what's going to be our future, and we need to make sure that we look after our future. And if we all act together, we can create a more positive and connected online culture. Teens can sleep better, they can feel more confident, and build genuine relationships and friendships offline. Families can now communicate more, and then with that, anxiety levels drop because people can now communicate how they feel to their family, or maybe not just talking directly about how they feel to their family, but tell their family how they feel, and maybe their family can help find assistance for them to be able to talk about how they feel. And then a healthier digital environment helps society thrive overall because now people have a more drive at work. I know I've been at my job, and some people just don't want to work. They want to be on their phones instead of just doing their job. And then they lose their job, which messes up their drive for being better at their job. And what can we do to make this change happen? Well, I mean, of course, I think to make any change happen, you can't just and it just happens, you gotta start off small. And so first, I think it's best to limit our own screen time, and then that way the teens see what we're doing, and then it will make them more inclined to listen to us because they're doing as we say and as we do. And I think that we should also support local programs and schools who promote this and who say it's best that we don't go on our phones as much and that we have good digital wellness. And I think we should also advocate for social media policies that prioritize mental health protection. And I think that politics currently aren't really seeing this as a huge issue, so no one's really looking at that and really trying to help with that issue. And I think if we look at these issues and we start off small, as I said before, then we can hopefully grow and get bigger and helping our teens with this. Thank you so much.